What's going on, legends? So I'm a week out now and I'm about to go drive to the gym. I'm going to go see Dan and we're going to go talk about peak week and formulate a bit of a plan. So that's today's video. For those of you who don't know, peak week is basically the last week of a bodybuilding prep. I've been prepping for 17 weeks now, one more week left. And in peak week, you manipulate some variables like water, sodium, carbs, etc. to try and make you look as lean, as dry, as tight, and as full as possible so you can place your best on stage. So we're going to go see Dan, talk more about it, and devise a plan. Alright, legends, we're here with Dan and we're going to go over the peak week plan, final week of comp prep. So it's been 17 weeks now, 1 week left. Most of the work's been done. Now it's about manipulating some variables to try and make me look as jacked as possible on stage. Yeah. So yeah, I'll put in a photo right now of Dan when he competed last and he looked insane. And I know he has some crazy methods that he uses involving wine, Viagra, I don't know if I should apologize that. And
Cialis.
Yeah, and some other things. So we're going to go in depth about peak week and how to make yourself peak and look as good as possible come stage day. So
awesome. Yeah. So I guess what are the main things that we're looking at doing? So yeah, biggest thing I always like to touch on first and foremost is that you can manipulate things peak week, but the work has to be done in the months leading into it. Getting lean, there's no shortcut to looking better if you're just not lean enough. Yeah. So obviously the dieting process, etc., is super important. The training, etc., is huge. But yeah, once you get to stage condition, you can manipulate some variables to look that little bit better and look a little bit fuller, look a little bit drier, look a little bit harder, bring out more vascularity, get a better pump before you go on stage as well, and basically try and maximize your presentation on stage for that show, I guess. And when we look at the main things, what are the main things that you can do and manipulate? So the big ones are carbohydrates are definitely probably the biggest. Water is another huge one. Sodium is also another huge variable that you can adjust to. So basically, first of all, when you look at carbs, carbohydrates are broken down into glycogen. They're stored in the muscles. So when you're depleted of carbs, if you do a low carb diet, you'll notice your body weight drops fairly quickly because you deplete those glycogen stores in the muscles and your liver. But also your muscles actually start to appear flatter. And when you train, you don't get the same pump. If you were to do a super low carb diet, if anyone's ever tried it, your pumps in the gym feel just not there. Yeah, and it's basically because the muscles are that little bit emptier. So what we do is if we can fill the muscle up with glycogen pre-stage, when you do pump up pre-stage and you get on stage, the muscle actually appears bigger, like literally. And you're storing more glycogen, and you also then take more water into the muscle with you as well. Yeah. So you get a much better effect and a much fuller effect and look way bigger. It'd actually be interesting to do and you could document the last couple of days pre-carb up, how you look versus then post-carb up.
I'm doing daily videos, I have been for the last week, so I'm going to document every single day of the peak. So it'll be interesting to see that, because I'm assuming we'll talk about the strategy that we're going to implement soon, but I'm assuming I'm going to go lower carb at the start of the week.
That's right.
So it'll probably, exactly, if you guys follow along, you'll see that when I'm on the lower carb, I'll probably be feeling flat, won't be getting good pumps in the gym, looking flat. Probably looking drier though?
Sometimes, but the biggest thing is that you'll notice the pump's just not there, the fat, your body weight will drop, and your muscles, you feel like you're losing muscle mass sometimes as well, because the muscles start to get softer, literally softer.
Yeah, right.
Which is interesting, but depending on whether you adjust fluid levels that much, but you tend to really notice that you won't look anywhere near, you look like you've lost muscle almost.
True, yeah.
And it plays a bit of mind games on you too.
Yeah.
But like you said, a good strategy is basically if you deplete before you carb up, you get a better super compensation effect.
Yeah.
Which is, so basically what next week will look like is at the start of the week is the workouts are glycogen depleting workouts, which is just basically done through some higher reps where you're basically just trying to push and use up a lot of glycogen in the workout. So when you do low reps, if you're doing very heavy stuff, your body doesn't use that much glycogen.
What are we using?
In terms of
as an energy system or as a fuel source?
More so ATP.
ATP.
Yeah. So
that's adenosine triphosphate.
Yeah, that's right. So basically, we deplete start of the week to a decent amount, like a lot of cardio, a lot of steps, glycogen depleting workouts. Get glycogen levels down really, really low in the body, and then when we reintroduce them, your show's Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they'll be reintroduced on Thursday. So Thursday and Friday will be 2 high carb days.
Yeah.
So you go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, really, really low. By the time you start to implement carbs on Thursday, the body's craving carbs, and you basically get a great absorption and a good uptake into the muscles, which is what you want.
Yeah.
And you tend to get a greater uptake too because of the contrast in being so low.
So is that what super compensation is then?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. A couple of things. So basically, deplete very low, and then we basically do a 2 big carb load days spread over 2 days, so that you can basically, when you do deplete that much, it takes a while to fill back up. So sometimes trying to fill back up in 1 day can be like pretty excessive, where you're just driving a lot of carbs and you get a lot of gastric distress, and your body almost can't digest it fast enough.
Yeah.
So then if we give ourselves 2 days, we can spread it out a little bit more, have a little bit more room to move in terms of how you're looking, how you're handling it, how you're dealing with it, etc. And then also, have the effect that we want, getting full, because sometimes getting full over 1 day can be hard.
Yeah.
So then, you give yourself 2 days to do that, and then also you go back to a low day, then basically allows your body to get rid of any bloating, water retention that might come with it. And sometimes if you overshoot it, if you go too high on the carb intake, it gives you that little bit of extra day to tighten things back up.
Yeah.
Get rid of any excess, what they call spillover, which is basically when your body can almost not store any more carbs. You sort of get this spillover effect, and you actually spill over like water as well into subcutaneous.
Well, per gram of carb you consume, how much water do you store?
I think it's about 2 to 3 mils of water per single gram of carbohydrate.
Yeah, and so you're planning on peaking me with how many grams of carbs?
The guide's going to be, I don't know, I haven't worked out the exact, but it's going to be 10 to 15 grams per kilo of body weight.
Yeah, so at 80 kilos, 800 to like 1,200 grams of carbs.
We'll likely be doing about 800 to 1,000 grams of carbs.
Per day?
Per day over 2 days.
So that would be 2 to 3 litres of water?
At a minimum, yeah.
And you're trying to hope that water is mostly intracellular, but obviously there's going to be a balance between extracellular and intracellular.
Yeah.
And when you spill over, it ends up going more extracellular, and then you end up losing the definition, and you kind of look a bit fluffy and flat and just not as lean as you actually are because you have water. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So that day, so your strategy is to go low Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then we go up, so we get full, and then in case we spill over, we have Saturday to then make adjustments based on the feedback.
Yeah.
So let's say, what's likely to happen? What's your prediction for come Saturday after the 2 high carb days?
So basically, another thing as well, like in the Saturday morning, to help, another strategy just quickly that you can use, like to help a carb up, is remember that when you weight train, you improve insulin sensitivity in the muscles that you train. So when we carb up on Thursday, for example, we can do an upper body session, increase insulin sensitivity in the upper body, and therefore have a greater effect on driving carbs into the upper body where we want them.
Fascinating. Yeah.
So first thing in the morning, before we start the carb load training session, and then bang, then we go like 800, 1,000 grams of carbs that day.
To drive it straight to the area.
That's right.
And then I don't train, so I don't deplete the glycogen. Is that correct?
After that, yeah.
So is that training done on Thursday then?
Yeah.
Until show day?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Other than that, it'll just be...
Normally I'd be like, no, I want to train. But although with all those carbs, you probably would feel like inclined to train, hey.
Yeah.
But,
I guess the biggest thing is, if you train more, you deplete and you won't be as full. So, and like, think about when you train, you create a little bit of inflammation. Inflammation holds water as well. So basically, the goal is to like get rid of, dissipate fatigue. So basically, let the body rest up so that there's no water retention, there's no inflammation when you hit the stage come Sunday.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So if anything that's done is just a little bit of light posing, some light walking, a little bit of cardio if needed. But other than that, that's on the Saturday.
So why would you utilize cardio on Saturday? Why would it be if needed?
It's a quicker way to tighten up post spillover.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you spill over a fair bit, it's like, all right, cool, let's do a little bit of a walk, let's pose. see how you look. Generally, you might tighten up a little bit, but if it's still not as tight as you like, let's do a bit of cardio, incline treadmill walking, just light.
Yeah.
Do half an hour on there, see how you're looking, keep posing as well. And that just helps, basically absorb more of those carbs that are spilled over, rebalance the fluid in the body.
True. What does the posing do?
Posing, again, you're basically flexing the muscles.
Yeah.
And you're going to use up some of that glycogen as well and help to drive a little bit where you want it to go.
Okay.
And absorb some of the spillover.
Okay.
You know, because remember, spillovers, you've gone too far, so you can pull it back a touch.
And do you think, does that normally happen?
Depends, like...
Are we trying to make that happen?
Not really, no. Okay. Like ideally, the ideal is to, feel nice and full by Friday night. Wake up a tiny bit. Like you might find a little bit of bloating. Think about it. Like you've been on, how many carbs are you on now?
200.
On 200. Okay, and then like next week we're going to go right down to like sub 100 grams of carbs for a couple of days.
Yeah.
To get the super compensation. So you're going to be pretty empty. But then and your body's been used to like 200 grams of carbs a day. All of a sudden we're going to throw in 800 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get a bit of bloating that comes with that. So it's nice to be able to give that a rest, let it chill back out. So that when you come to Sunday, everything's just tight. There's no bloating whatsoever.
Yeah.
And your midsection's just looking as tight as possible. You know, your abs are popping, and your V taper's on point, and everything's on point.
So say like Friday you're super full, right? Friday night.
Yeah.
Like for you, when did you do this when you did your comp?
Exactly, yeah.
What happened from like Saturday morning to show day? Did you lose a little bit of that fullness? Were you overspilled? Or what was your personal experience?
I found that, so the other thing will be the water loading process.
Yeah.
So the Saturday will be a water loading day.
Okay.
And so then we talk about, somewhere along the lines of like 12 litres of water, 10 litres of water that day.
Yeah.
So with that, you're very full with carbohydrates of the 2 high days. Then we start water loading as well, and literally you feel bloated because you're taking
Saturday.
That's right.
Okay.
So the goal of the water load is to basically dramatically increase the amount of water going into the body.
Yep.
And the body's response is, basically we've got a lot of water coming in. The body's trying to rebalance fluid within the body. It's like, we need to excrete some water because there's so much coming in. So it's like, let's excrete. The process is called diuresis, but it's just basically that. Drink a lot of water, get rid of a lot of water. So you go into the toilet a lot, that diuresis process gets upregulated. And then you do that across the whole day. The body's like, a lot of water, keep getting rid of it. That night, we just basically reduce or almost, like not stop, but we just reduce the amount of water fairly drastically. And then over the next, say, 8 to 12 hours pre-stage, the body is still going to the toilet a lot. You're still excreting water, and you're tightening up, and you're basically appearing, not dehydrated, but you're basically appearing a lot tighter, and you're getting rid of subcutaneous water underneath the skin. Yeah. And you just don't do it. Some people make the mistake of like cutting water 24 hours out. The body's super, super smart. If you cut it too early, the body realizes, there's not much water coming in, let's hold water, and you start to look watery and a little bit bloated. Okay, so you cut water only the night before? Very small window. And then what about on show day? Show day, sip a little bit of water as needed, just to get a little bit in, especially if we're having some carbs on the day of the show, you need water to store carbs as well. Yeah. So remembering that. But a little bit of water goes in. So what happens if you don't have water and you have carbs? You don't store them? You won't store them as well. Okay. Yeah, there'll still be some water in the body from the water intake the day before, but you basically do need water to uptake carbs properly. Okay. Yeah. So, then we go this huge intake, we drop it back, and the body dries out. And the change that I've seen personally with athletes and with myself from even the morning of the show to the day, like say for example, if the show's at 1 o'clock, for example, wake up at 7 a.m, obviously a few nerves, show day and whatever, and it's like, I don't know if I'm ready. But as that morning goes on and things start to really come into play and you're excreting those last few bits of water, and then for example, still a little bit soft, and then you basically hit a big hit of sodium pre-stage, bit of water, bit of red wine, you pump up and stuff, and all of a sudden like shit comes to life pretty dramatically from my experience. How soon is that, like prior to going on? Like is that literally in the hour before that you're having the sodium and the wine? Yeah, because I like you to try and stay pretty relaxed pre-stage. Yeah. You don't want to pump up, you know what I mean? It's all about like saving that for the stage. Yeah. So in the morning of, not much is happening. And then about an hour pre-stage, we basically pump up an hour before. With the bands and stuff. Yeah. So pre-stage, basically an hour before, a little bit of a drink involving carbohydrates, sodium, like a big hit of sodium, because the other thing I haven't touched on so far with sodium is that when we're excreting water on the water load day, you're also excreting sodium.
Yep.
So the second half of the day, we basically go with like low sodium-free water. So your body is excreting a lot of sodium.
On the water loading day.
Yeah. Okay, so remember, you're getting rid of water, you're also getting rid of sodium. What does that do? The same supercompensation effect that I spoke about with the carbohydrates.
Yeah.
We've got less sodium in the body, but then pre-stage an hour before, we put in a big hit of sodium, the body like uptakes it big time, and the pump you get is ridiculous.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you
How much sodium?
Like 5 grams, 3 to 5 grams in one hit.
So the recommended daily intake is about 1.5 to 2 grams over the days. That's a lot of sodium.
So you can use like chicken salt, different
chicken
types
salt,
of salt.
I love chicken salt.
Stuff that actually tastes okay,
I'll
but
smash that.
rock salt and stuff.
I
and
like my salt, yeah, she'll be right.
if you see what it do, even for example, try before you work out, have a decent hit of sodium. Grab a rock salt shaker and do like 20 to 30 turns of a shaker in your pre-workout or half an hour before you train. Have that and notice if it gives you a better pump. Yeah, but it's pretty dramatic.
It will.
So deplete sodium and then sodium load. So pre-stage we're going like carbs go in, a bit of water goes in, some sodium goes in, citrulline, malate, a few things that help with blood flow and pump. Red wine improves with vascularity, just like a few hundred mils, nothing too crazy there. But I don't know if you've ever noticed, if you have some red wine, it brings out veins, especially as lean as you are.
Yeah, whenever I've like woken up after a night out, I'm always more shredded.
Yeah.
Is that same thing?
Sometimes, yeah.
Diuretic effect?
Yeah, a bit of, not so much of the diuretic effect, more so for the vascularity.
Yeah,
just get your blood flow.
Opens your blood flow, opens your capillaries.
That's right.
Nitric oxide precursor?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool, alright. So, that makes sense to me. That's
the other big one, I guess, that you touched on earlier, the intro of the video, was the Cialis.
Yeah.
So, Viagra plus Cialis is what I've used before and been shown to be very effective. Is basically a vasodilator. So it opens up, basically blood flow in the body as well, and just gets you greater pumps, more blood flow to the muscle. So when you pump up pre-stage, you're just flooding blood where you want it, thighs, chest, shoulders, everything. So boom, looking pretty jacked. Because remember, doing physique, you're gonna have board shorts on. So the legs basically don't get touched. You can do a few calf raises to get a bit of a pump there, but we want upper body on point.
Fuck, I'm keen. It sounds fun. I'm so keen for the carb days.
Yeah. You'll feel good after those.
All right, so I have a good overview. I feel like the audience would too, but I think it'd be good to like almost break it down. So we've like basically affirmed that there's 3 variables: sodium, water, carbs. So as of when does this whole and the training? They're probably the 4 variables.
So show days on Sunday, work backwards from there. So the plan is Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday are going to be all very low carb days. So we're going to be aiming to sort of have your carb intake at about 80 grams per day.
Is that because 1 gram per kilo?
Yeah, 80 to 100 grams.
Okay.
The main goal there is just to deplete your body of carbohydrates.
Okay.
Yeah, of glycogen.
Yeah.
So that we get that better uptake.
Okay. So that's carbs. What happens with water on those days?
Water will stay the same.
Yeah.
We'll keep your water intake basically the same all the way through. It'll increase a little bit to match the carb load. As well on Thursday and Friday. Sodium will remain the same.
All the way
hold
through.
those variables constant.
Even though I'm having like 7 grams a day, that's still fine.
Hold it exactly the same.
Yeah,
that's fine. That won't get manipulated until Friday.
Okay. So carbs.
Saturday, sorry.
So carbs are the only really variable there. But then considering I'm having like 2,000 calories right now with 225 grams of carbs. If carbs drop to, let's just say 125 grams of less carbs is like 500 calories less. Does that mean I have 1,500 calories on those days, or do I have extra fat?
We can bump like your fat up a little bit. However, if we keep your calories low, there is going to be a little bit more fat loss in those few days too. So provided, like, are you feeling okay to drop to sort of 1,600-1,700?
I like, not happy, like obviously I'm starving, but I think I want to push conditioning more. So I'd be more than happy to just have 3 days of hunger to just feel like I've maybe dropped that little bit more fat.
Because there's a possibility that it will have that beneficial effect to get a little bit more body fat off. Which is one of the biggest parts of it all.
The biggest part, I guess.
That's right.
Okay, so, and then protein stays the same?
Protein will stay the same. On your carb load day, drop it down a tiny little bit, just to help getting all that food in, so you're not so full, and ease off the digestion a little bit. But like to keep it at least like 1.8 grams per kilo of body weight.
Okay.
Or the load day.
On the load day.
When you're loading Thursday, Friday.
1.8 on those days, because I know like I'm like about 2.2 to 2.4, because that's kind of what you told me to do.
Yeah.
2.4. Okay, and then training. So training from Monday, is that different all week?
Yeah, basically, biggest thing in the final week is like to back off the intensity.
Yep.
And back off the how close you're going to proximity to failure. Yeah.
So intensity, is that what you're referring to? Is like the RPE basically?
Yeah. So intensity really in the big scheme when we talk about programming really refers to percent of 1 RM.
Yeah.
Yeah. So intensity normally in the programming world. So I like to take you away from any really heavy work.
Yep.
Because it's not as glycolytic.
Yep.
So we work towards more glycogen depleting work, which is going to be more volume based but a little bit more higher rep.
What rep range?
15 reps, for example, 15 to 20 rep ranges.
15, 20, okay.
Yeah, and that'll help us deplete glycogen a little bit, and then...
What happens if you go above that, say 20 to 40? Is that more like a lactic acid kind of system, not as glycolytic depleting?
Yeah, you'll still have a beneficial effect.
Yeah.
I think, but also, if you start to go very high rep and you're getting closer to failure, there's a chance there that you might cause a little bit more muscle damage.
Okay.
For example, when you get a little bit more inflammation and starts to hold water, stuff like that. So the goal is to deplete glycogen through training, but also through cardio, also through steps, but not create muscle damage. Basically
inflammation.
Exactly.
Excessive. So cardio and steps, then what happens with them?
Again, given on how you're feeling, I would like to see your cardio increase slightly over those 3 days.
Yeah. What, like 90 minutes of bliss or something?
Yeah. Where have you been at this week?
60.
60. Even if we were to take it to 75.
75. Okay.
Increase by 15 minutes. That's enough of an increase to stay ahead of, because given that we're going to drop calories significantly as well.
Yeah.
So their steps are at daily.
10,000.
Yeah. So steps can stay if you feel okay to push them up another 2,000 per day.
Yeah.
Again, it's going to help get maybe a little bit extra fat loss and deplete glycogen a little bit more as well.
Yeah.
So if you can do it, I would recommend that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So that's training. That's carbs on those days. That's protein, fats.
Yeah.
So then it comes to also artificial sweeteners. So something that I've been utilizing a lot in my diet is a lot of things that make it easier. So I drink a lot of sugar-free Pepsi, Lipton iced tea, sugar-free, Jelly Light at night. Have you ever tried the Jelly Light?
I haven't.
It's like 7 calories per bowl.
Really?
So, anyway, Jelly Light, gum,
Yeah.
basically a bunch of sorbitol, a bunch of fucking artificial shit. Do I need to take that out? Because I know when I chew gum, I get gassy, I get kind of bad digestion. And if I have a lot of like sugar-free drinks, I feel the same thing. So do I need to start worrying about them or?
Yeah. Biggest thing to take away from that, guys, is that it's individual to the person.
Yeah.
And if you get gastric distress and you get an upset stomach from it, there's probably it's probably a good idea to reduce that down.
Okay.
And even when you talk about dieting and fat loss as well, if you're in a fat loss phase and you can have those things and feel okay, then you're fine.
Yeah.
In moderation as well.
Yeah.
But for you, given like what you just said, I would say let's reduce that.
Yeah.
And basically eliminate, because the last thing you want is to be bloated and have gastric distress in the days leading into your show.
Yeah. And
even worse, wake up on show day and be like really bloated.
Yeah.
Because then, exactly, you're gonna literally go on stage and like to make everything look tight and small and have your abs really exposed and stuff. That's going to be super, super challenging.
Yeah.
And could be the difference between first, second, and third place.
Yeah. Because almost what I've been doing is like I almost try and cause gastric distress at night.
Yeah.
So I can like sleep, because I don't know, like I get hungry, I just am bloated.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel kind of satiated.
Yeah, right.
So I drink like Pepsi and have all this sugar-free shit.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming like I should probably stop that for the last week. Just so I can feel how my body's reacting to everything. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. We want everything, like we want your body fairly recovered, we want everything to be working nicely. So the least amount of disruption, the better.
Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday basically sorted then.
Yeah, and low days, so training's still in, cardio still in, steps still in, and we're very low in carbohydrate, calories are low.
Yep.
Then from there, basically we go Thursday is our first carb load day.
Yeah. And
cardio comes out, steps drop right down. So I see the smile on the face, because I remember getting to that day and it's like, yes. It's almost like you've made it. So basically, we're loading with carbs. So we don't want to go and burn a whole heap of carbs. We don't want to go and burn a whole heap of glycogen through steps and cardio, etc. So literally in the morning, wake up, come into the gym.
Am I fasted for that workout?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just a pump up session, insulin sensitivity type type session, but similar to what you've been doing.
So glycolytic kind of supersets and stuff, or not really?
It doesn't have to be supersets.
Okay.
You can do supersets, but again, like higher rep range, 15 to 20s, and basically train your whole upper body.
Yeah.
So there'll be chest, back, shoulders, arms, all in that workout.
Yeah.
And increase insulin sensitivity, and then as soon as that workout's done, carb load. And the way we like to do it,
not causing muscle damage in that workout either.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. So staying away from failure.
Yeah.
All right. And it's just like 3 or 4 sets on each body part basically, enough to just help to uptake the carbs where you want it.
Yep.
And then post workout, knowing that when we train, we increase insulin sensitivity.
Yeah.
We use a good goal there is to have liquid carbs.
Yeah.
Because we can absorb them very quickly into the body. And when you think about 800 grams of carbs or 1,000. Somebody could be challenged to eat that much.
Yeah.
So we got liquid carbs basically just helps get in faster. Yeah. You're like, I could eat 1,000 grams.
I was going to say that, like, honestly, bro, my appetite's so fucked up. Like, I was looking at Rawdon's notes with the multi-deck. Like, I probably will want to have some of that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, like, as much food as I can have in this carb, I want to have. Like, dude, I'll eat, like, fucking the whole box of Cheerios or, like, Cocoa Pops or something. Like, I'll put maple syrup all over everything. Like, I can eat.
That's cool. Yeah, we can definitely do that. And the cool thing there is, I think if you have some liquid carbs, at least you get a really fast absorption there. Yeah. Post workout.
Does maple syrup count as a liquid carb?
It does, but it can cause a bit of gastric distress in some people. Okay. Have you had much of it?
When I was bowling, I fucking ladder that shit on my
Did you feel okay with it?
Yeah, I felt alright.
I would. Yeah, if we use it. We'll just use small amounts of it and make sure you feel okay.
Yeah. And what is the carbohydrate that you recommend? Is it maltodextrin?
Yeah. I like to use a combination 50-50 of maltodextrin and dextrose.
Okay.
And then
what's the variance?
What's that?
What's the variance between malto and dextrose?
Basically just the blends. It's been shown in research to have a more beneficial uptake effect.
Okay.
But branched cyclic dextrin is another really good one as well, because of the way it's basically is absorbed more easily and it's already like pre-digested, for example. So that's been shown to be even less gastrically disruptive.
So these are basically as simple of a sugar as you can get, am I right?
Yeah.
It's like powdered form, basically just like super high glycemic sugar that's just like sponged straight to the muscle. Is that
exactly.
correct? Yeah.
Exactly. And because it's in liquid
form. I've never had it before in my life.
Never used any carb powder?
Never in my life.
Right. Yeah, so it's a good strategy.
I've always wanted to eat my carbs.
Yeah, that's true too.
But so is that still fine that I've never had it before to throw that in?
Well, again, I'll do it just very like a limited dose.
Yeah.
We'll have a little bit, make sure you feel cool with it, and
Yeah.
then we'll just go to food. And again, the last thing you want to do is throw in a whole heap of carb sources that your body is unfamiliar with, and then cause a ton of gastric distress and get super, super bloated too. So, like, I know it's nice to have a bit of fun with different foods, but my recommendation is, stick to things that you know, like you've eaten before and you know you tend to handle okay.
Yeah.
And if you have a bit of fun with some different things, that's all cool. But just do it in moderation and make sure that you don't really, especially as you get closer to the show.
So what food sources would you recommend for my carbohydrates?
My favourite ones are just fairly basic stuff like white potato, white rice, things like that. And then looking at and even carbohydrate powder.
So why white rice and white potato?
One of the main reasons is we need to, actually one of the challenges is when you're trying to get in a huge amount of carbohydrates can be fitting them all in, but also keeping fibre in check as well.
That's what I was kind of leading to there.
Yeah, sometimes if you go too high, if you have like a whole heap of veggies and fruit and berries and stuff like that too, you're awesome, like a lot of micronutrients, but your fibre intake can be super high. Yeah. Too much fibre will block you up, you won't go to the toilet. And
2 days ago I had, Quest bars?
Yeah.
They have 15 grams of fibre per Quest bar. And I also love berries and I love like sweet potato, I love oatmeal.
Yeah.
Anyway, my fibre for the day, I checked it the other day, I was like, fuck, I had 80 grams of fibre.
Yeah.
And that was like a heavy weigh-in day, and I just knew it was because it was all blocked up and shit. So, yeah, man. So, finding stuff that you can tolerate well, and sticking to that, I think, is a pretty good strategy. And kind of low fibre. Well, so the average fibre is what, like 38 grams is what I should be having, I think?
Yeah, basically 15 grams at a minimum per 1,000 calories you consume.
Okay, so 2,000 calories, 30 grams minimum.
Yeah.
I'm having about 40 per day normally. That was a 70, 80 gram day. So if I'm carving up then with 1,000 grams of carbs, let's say that's 4,000 calories, and then I'm having 200 grams of protein, that's 800 calories, so that's 4,800. Is fat like just trace amounts in the carb?
Exactly.
So I'll end up having about 5,000 calories, let's say, around about.
Yeah.
does that mean fiber can be 15 times 5, which is...
I'd like to see it lower, keep it lower than that on those days.
So what do you recommend?
If we can keep it under 70 or 80 grams, because like you said from experience, if you go up 80 grams above, for example, you start to get blocked up.
Yeah.
So that's where dextrose and like very low fiber, high carbohydrate foods come into play.
And is white rice low fiber?
Yeah.
Is basmati low fiber?
I believe so, yeah.
And white potatoes are low fiber?
Yeah.
Less fiber than sweet potatoes?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're lower fiber carbohydrate sources. What else would you recommend?
For your carbs?
Yeah.
What else have you been eating as carb sources?
So basically my carb sources has been oatmeal, banana, fruit, sweet potato, spud light, but I've never had normal white potato.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a variance there, it's probably the same thing. Is it? Do you know what spud light is?
Like low carb potatoes?
Yeah, so 25% less potatoes. And I actually don't have rice. I haven't had rice this whole prep.
Right.
But I had rice yesterday and today because I knew you carved up with it and I wanted to make sure I could tolerate it. And I seem fine. So I can have rice.
Yeah, cool. So I like to keep pretty simple. A big thing I haven't even touched on yet is the whole stress side of things too. Because like stress can affect water retention in the body as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's always really important to try and stay as relaxed as possible. Even get outdoors, go for a little bit of a walk on the Saturday, pre-show, and really try and keep yourself as relaxed as you can. Because stressing about the process, for example, isn't going to do you any justice. If we can keep you a little bit more stress-free, and you know what else? Another big part of all this as well is enjoying the process too. Like think about how long you've worked for it. Yeah, you know, it's really nice to be able to. Have fun, enjoy it, and have good memories that come from it too.
Okay. The stress thing, I think that's an underrated variable because remember how I had that week where I didn't drop and then I did like yoga and I chilled out and I dropped like fucking 3 kilos just like that. So I think that's a huge thing that I'm going to have to work on because I'm quite a high stress kind of personality. So I'll just work on zen now. So I think that was something that actually came to my mind just quickly was when you were talking about the diuresis. And then I piss like 3 or 4 times a night as is. Am I going to be up all night pissing and then not sleep, and then as a result of not sleeping have higher cortisol levels and then potentially be holding on to more water, or no? Am I overthinking that?
You might, I think you're sort of overthinking a little bit, but you'll find, you'll definitely be going to the toilet a lot, and you might wake up during the night and sleep, and sort of go to the toilet a few times, but you'll be surprised, because you drink a fair bit of water at the moment as it is. It's not as if you won't sleep all night long. You'll still get some good quality hours of sleep in there.
Sweet. Okay.
Which is fine. Plus, you'll be coming off the back of 2 big carb days as well, and you'll have a couple of days. Remember, there's no training. There's like a light session Thursday morning, no training Friday, no training Saturday. So you'll be fairly well rested as well, and be able to get some good sleep.
And so no cardio, no steps on the carb up days. White rice, white potatoes, dextrose, maple syrup to an extent. I remember seeing you when you did yours and you put it on your shit. You put it on like fucking fish. I was like, what the hell? I'll put it on my fish for sure, bro. Concrete makes you get weak. Honey?
Honey, no, not so much. Like I think again, coming to the digestive side of things too, how you deal with it. I don't even know like to have a look at even where it sits in terms of the likelihood of digestive issues with it as well, and see, but I'm not sure. I've never really used it.
What about cereal like Cheerios or Cocoa Pops? Like
I know you're really keen for that, so we can have a few, like throw some of them in. Like I said, I'm a big fan of having some fun with it too, but as long as we don't go too crazy.
What about like bagels?
You can throw a bagel in there.
Alright, orange juice and stuff like that?
Yeah, like I prefer to stick to, because again, a few more of the like simpler most of the time, and then have a few fun ones, but find that balance between them.
And then obviously fiber, you said, will come up. So fiber's in white potatoes and white rice. But then, am I having fruit or anything like that, or am I staying abstinent from that because of fiber?
Exactly. I'd leave them out completely, and just purely stick to those food sources and liquid carbs. And some cereal and a bagel.
Jam?
Jam's alright.
Jam on my bagel? Fuck yeah. Alright, so that's the carb up sorted. No fats on those days, so I'm assuming the protein sources then is just like lean chicken breast and lean fish, white fish.
Exactly. Super boring, super light stuff. Egg whites, you can do if you want as well, that's fine.
Okay, sweet. I think that's good. The audience will understand. I understand.
Yeah.
And then, so that's the carb up days. Relax. Sodium stays the same. What I've been having, water stays the same.
Yeah.
And then we come into Saturday. So now, so we've carved up Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
Saturday, what happens on Saturday with all the variables?
So basically, Saturday we go back to low calories.
Yeah.
Where you're going to be, depending on how things go, back down to like low carb intake on that day as well.
Like the 80 to 100 again?
Yeah. Depending on how you feel as well, but we can always work in somewhere around that 100 to 150 grams of carbs on that day.
Okay. So
calories are going to be down around the 800 calorie mark for the day, and we'll implement just going for a walk.
What are fats at on that day?
Very low.
So as in 0 or as in like 30 to 40?
Yeah, 30 to 40 grams of fat. In the morning I'll get you to go for a walk outdoors, and then come in and then just go through a bit of posing and just do a bit of a conditioning check, how you're looking, how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And then basically that day will change based on how you're looking and feeling.
Okay.
So like we talked about at the start when we talked about spilling over.
Can we maybe shoot a video in here that Saturday morning and we'll check in and see what you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to, because it's at the expo, the show.
On the Sunday.
So me and Logan are going to go up on Saturday to the expo.
Yeah.
If you think I can do that.
Yeah, definitely.
And that way, look at the show, look at the expo, have fun. We booked accommodation there Saturday night.
Yeah.
And then I got my base tan Saturday as well at 3 p.m. or something.
Yeah,
at the expo as well.
Yeah.
So I'll come in here in the morning, do that with you, and then go.
Yeah. Sweet, man.
Cool. So yeah, so that's what we're doing on Saturday with food. Protein still is like you said 1.8 on for protein, so a little bit less.
Yeah.
And then fats are like 30 to 40. Steps in the morning. Any cardio?
On the Saturday?
Yeah.
Depending on how you look.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, remember we touched on before, if you're still not looking as like tight as we want, like if that spillover effect we spoke about has sort of taken place, it's like, okay, let's do a little bit more cardio and see if that tightens you up, which generally it will.
Okay.
But only if needed.
And that would be like incline treadmill walk.
That's right. But I don't want you, I don't think you should spend time on the treadmill unless you actually have to.
Yeah.
So if you a couple of walks outdoors, a bit of fresh air and stuff like that, and especially those things can be good to lower stress and just help you to just chill out a little bit as well. And rather than, I think if you were to sit around all day long, sometimes they can just help you to keep you a little bit busy across the day, if you can fit it in. Even if you go to the expo, just walk around a little bit in the expo and take it all in, for example.
I'll probably getting steps in and stuff at the expo as well.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be structured cardio, but
Saturday's about de-stressing, and almost a judgment day. Play it by ear based on what happened on the carb up, whether
that's
I
right.
spilled, or is there a potential that I'll be under full and I need to carb up even more?
Yeah.
But that would probably be a rare case considering the extent of the carbohydrate intake.
Exactly, but that could happen. Like say for example, Friday night, after 2 days of big carbs, you're feeling like good and like full and pumped and looking great. As Saturday comes, for example, you sort of a little bit flatter, and it's like, okay, we know that when we were on the really high carbs, for example, looking good. Now that you've slept, for example, and had a few hours and you're not as full, looks like the body can take a few more carbs in, and we can adjust it that way. But that's why I really like having that Saturday, where it gives you that opportunity to make a couple of adjustments, get rid of any bloating and stuff like that.
But the big variance on Saturday is water, where it goes from whatever I've been. What is the water that I should be having
in terms of your actual load?
Yeah, no, for all week.
Again, so we're gonna look at training level. You're off the top of my head. What have you been consuming? 4 to 5 liters?
I have no idea.
Around there?
I have no idea.
Yeah, so I think up around 4 liters a day would be ideal.
I'd say I have more than that.
Yeah, that's
a shake would be like a litre, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think there's 700 mils.
Yeah, I reckon I have like at least 7 of them. Probably.
Yeah, I think big factors there. That water can stay the same those days.
Yeah.
But just making sure that when you do carb up, that you'll increase water
to about 12 litres on those days.
Not as high. We can work it out based on the carbs. The 12 litres of water is your water load day, which is pre-show.
Okay.
The day before the show.
And so, what would you think if, say, I'm having 1,000 grams of carbs on the carb up? How much water would I be having?
Well, so let's say for example we need 3 litres for that, 2 to 3 mils per gram.
Okay.
So that's going to give us
3 litres on top of what we're already having. What we're already normally having.
I would recommend say 6 litres of water on those 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're getting 3 in to help with the carbs, etc., and then you've got another 3 just to help with hydration levels overall in the body too.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
And then 12 on the Saturday.
Yeah.
And then
actually another quick thing as well is to help with this. I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna plan it, like write it all down for you.
Yeah.
So you've got a clear overview as well. Just so, I think a big thing when we talk about stress and worrying, getting it out of here and thinking about it onto paper.
Cool.
So it's like, today, wake up, what do I need to do? It's this. What do I need to do? And it's like clearly outlined. And I think that's a really good strategy you can have. Like getting somebody to help you with it is awesome, but having it clearly detailed, in terms of what to do.
I love that.
Yeah, man.
Maybe I'll even put in the description of the YouTube video a downloadable link where you guys can download that and have a look at the big week plan as well.
Because I know myself from experience and working with the athletes, like so many things go through your head.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, what should I be doing today? Like, do I look good enough? Should I be doing this, etc. And you just have these thoughts and emotions start to get involved, and anxiety comes into it, and stress, etc. So it's like, okay, here's the plan. We stick to the plan. It's just like clearly outlined. We follow this, and obviously,
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. In extreme circumstances, that we change the plan, for example, if we need to. But just having a clear outline of a objective view on what to do, and you just follow that.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. And then just for the audience, the only thing we haven't really touched on in depth is Sunday.
Yeah.
So Sunday show day.
Yeah.
What happens?
So basically, wake up in the morning. We are having some water on show day, but just sipping a little bit of water.
500 mils, like max?
Yeah, I'd say a litre between. What time's your first show?
First show's at 11.
Yeah, so I'd have to try and get in 500 to a litre in the morning of pre-show.
Okay.
Just look after your health, make sure you don't pass out on stage.
Yeah.
Things like that. But then leading into the show, if you feel hungry in the morning and things are looking good, we can have a couple of rice cakes there.
With jam?
Yeah, in the morning of. Biggest thing, then we go an hour pre-stage. So we work backwards from your stage time.
So
and that's then,
And that's when you have the like we already talked about earlier, the citrulline, the Viagra, the wine, the sodium, like 5 grams of sodium, and that's it. Yeah. Is that it?
I think so, yeah. We've got carbohydrates, we've got some red wine, we've got salt, we've got Cialis.
How much carbs do you have in that hour?
Will be about 30 grams. 30 Nothing grams. Crazy. So nothing too crazy. Because remember, the goal is to be full from Thursday, Friday.
So rice cakes and jam again.
Yeah, or even just dextrose powder.
Oh, dextrose powder.
Yeah. See, the way I like to do it, again, to make it easier, you pre-mix it into a shaker.
Yeah.
And you've got sodium in there, you've got carbs in there, you've got some citrulline malate in there, etc. And it's like, you don't have to, you're not worrying, you're not pre-stage going, oh, where's this, where's that, blah, blah, blah. It's like, literally, you've got it.
And this is what I drink.
You just drink it, start
and that doesn't count as your water intake, does it? That's just another thing. Okay.
Yeah. Then from there, the other couple of things that we want to do is you want to get nice and warm before you hit the stage, because warmth and core temperature affects blood flow, which affects your pump.
Yep.
So spending some time warming up, pumping up before pre-stage, massively getting nice and warm. A good thing you can use as well that I've used myself is like a deep heat spray. Okay. And so basically by deep heat, spray it on and it brings your surface temperature up, and you tend to improve vascularity from that too.
Cool.
So that is done. But yeah, pumping up, so very simple pump up, 15 reps lateral raise, 15 chest press, rows, bis, tries, do a little bit of posing, hit another round of that, and you're sipping on your drink, pump up again, another round of posing, and try and get usually 2 to 3 rounds of that pre-stage.
Awesome.
Core temperature goes up, pumps increasing with each round, blood flow's increasing, and all these good things are happening that we want before you present on stage.
Do I have like a hoodie on or something to stay warm?
Well, you got your tan on, so usually not.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you can find a warm area, that can help a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think more so just the movement is where the body warmth will come from.
Okay.
Because sometimes, I think a big thing on the day is being organised. Last thing you want to do is be running late, and all of a sudden they call you, and you haven't pumped up yet. You're not ready to go. And you have to run out on stage, and you're not presenting the best thing.
Yeah.
So being organised, being there early, having what you need, organised, all those little things help heaps.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then, so basically, I have first timers, which is 11.
Yeah.
Juniors, and then do you think I should do opens as well?
Yes.
Yeah. So that means I'm 11, 1, and 3:30. So do I have to choose one that I take the Viagra and the wine for, or do I do it for all 3?
You can do it for all 3.
Biggest raging boner. No.
You can do it for all 3, but I think a better strategy is picking which one do we want to peak for the most.
I don't know.
And I guess I would look at it from which one do you have the best chance of coming away with the first place?
Maybe juniors.
Yeah.
So maybe pick for juniors, and that's the middle one. So it kind of gives me good, like if I peaked in the morning, then I might be really shit for opens, or if I went for opens, then I might be really shit in the morning.
See, I wouldn't say you'd be really shit, but it's just like, those couple extra percent,
I think that's the big thing with all of this is like, it's the little variable, it's not a huge thing, like, but okay, so maybe peak for juniors is the plan then.
Yeah, so first show is novice.
First timers at 11.
So we do a little, have a little drink there with nothing major, so reduce basically the amount that we have there. Yeah. But then second one, slightly more carbs,
drink.
Bit more sodium,
and maybe have the Cialis then as well.
That's right.
And then I think that has a life of like 4 to 6 hours or something. So that'll still be in the system come opens as well. Yeah. And then same drink before opens. And then do I get to eat that day?
Well, what time's your second?
So 11, 1 and 4.
I'd see how you feel post your second time on stage. Yeah. See how you feel again, and then maybe a couple of rice cakes. Nothing major though, because again, like we want things tight as possible. Yeah. So usually having your digestion empty, your bowels empty, your intestines empty is the best way to go. Yeah. And then what about a little bit
other diuretics and stuff? Are we fucking around with that?
Diuretics, it can be a little bit hit and miss. In my personal experience, I've used them and I've had like good effects from them. I've used them with clients and had great effects as well. Dandelion root extract.
Yeah, I've used that before for a photo shoot.
Yeah, so basically,
do I drink that the night before?
Morning of.
Okay.
Yeah, so the morning you wake up, another good diuretic is caffeine. Yeah. So my recommendation there is no dose tablets. Yeah. Depending on what your tolerance to caffeine, every hour on the hour, from when you wake up to your first show.
Would I be able to drink black coffee?
Yeah, but we don't want too much liquid. You have to factor that into your liquid intake as well. But you can have black coffee.
Just really strong.
Yeah,
almost like a straight shot.
Because it has a diuretic effect. Yeah. Yeah, and just like like 15 drops of the herbal diuretic as well can help to just excrete a little bit more water.
What's the herbal diuretic?
That's the dandelion.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a dropper, not as the actual tea. Oh, because now I'm getting more liquid. Yeah. Okay, so I've got to buy an actual dropper. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. And then, is there anything else?
No, so the main thing, Dave's show, that's pretty much it. Yeah, pre-stage.
So you said like maybe a litre so I don't pass out before the 11 a.m. one. Yeah. What happens with water before the one? Alright, so camera's given us difficulties today, but we're just going to wrap up. We were talking about the water. So we said about 1 litre before the first one, which is 11, and then what happens in regards to water for the next two?
You'll have a little bit more water when you have your pre-stage drink before your 1 p.m. show, and then sip on a little bit of water between your second and third show as well, and then have another little pump-up drink pre-final show, which is at 4. Okay. Yeah, so you keep a little bit of hydration there. Like, you definitely don't want to cut water completely, a mistake that some people make.
Well, yeah, because water, obviously you store carbs, so if I had no water that day, would that hurt my fullness?
Yeah, and again, the longer you go without water, the more the body releases ADH, antidiuretic hormone, and starts to hold on to water, and you start to look a little bit bloated or a little bit watery, you know what I mean? You get that water retention look, and you end up with like less definition between the muscles, which is the opposite of what you want.
Yeah, so when does the water loading stop on the Saturday?
Night, before bed.
So just before bed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because again, if you cut it too early,
that's going to stop that ADH hormone kicking in. And what's the other one? There's another aldosterone. What's that one do?
To be honest, off the top of my head, I can't even remember.
I know it's related to ADH and water excretion. Whatever. Google it. Anything else?
The other thing that actually just came to mind as well was that like the whole pre-stage component. So we talked about pump up, we talked about the pump up drink as well, but one thing we didn't touch on is like the mindset aspect of it. Yeah. And I think it's really good, or something like that really, really helped me before going on stage, is like personally breath work. Like I did breath work before I went on stage, and why? It's like you want to get yourself into the best headspace you possibly can. You want to be as calm and as clear and as confident as you possibly can as well. And for me, that was the thing that really had a really positive effect. Okay. So, a little bit of meditation, 5 or 10 minutes pre-stage can really help to set the tone. And like I describe my experience competing at say nationals, for example, as not even knowing not even realizing what anybody else on stage was doing, because I was just
present and zen and like in the moment.
Yeah, and it was just like the crowd, the judges, for example, and it was just like I was like literally where I was meant to be at that point in time. Everything just fell into place, and like it felt like it fell into place.
Wow.
So I think that the whole energy side of things comes into it too. It's like making sure that, yeah, you're not frazzled, you're not like stressed out, you're not rushing and stuff and jump out, starting like, oh fuck, what about this pose, for example? You want it to flow, because we know that like when, yeah, you're in a better headspace, it'll present better. The energy you give off will be better. You know, you've got judges in front of you, literally a couple of meters away. They can sense a really nervous person, or a really, you know, someone who's not confident, or somebody who hasn't put in the work.
Yeah.
I believe they can sense that as well. And like, you want people to look at you, you want to come out on stage and almost have an aura about you, where people go, fuck, wow, like, look at that dude, there's just something about him. And that can be like an energetic thing.
That's
which
beautiful.
this is a little bit woo-woo, I know.
This is what I talk about this all the time on my channel. Like, my
Right.
audience is into woo-woo. This is me, bro. I love this shit. Like,
okay.
I don't know if you see, but I'm like transfixed on what you're saying right now, because it's so powerful and it's so
like,
true.
for you guys, have you ever experienced where somebody walks into a room and you just like, yeah, you just like really connect with that person, or there's just something about them where you just sort of drawn to them?
The energy. Yeah.
It is. That's exactly right. So think about that. Like, if you can be that person that walks on stage, and the energy is like, whoa, and it's like, yeah, even if it's a subtle thing, they might have, sometimes people don't even realize, but they're just like, I just like this dude, or there's something about him that flows nicely in his presentation, and presentation is huge up there too, and you know, the audience is cheering for you, all those little things, yeah, play a big part. So for me, getting in a good headspace, a bit of breathwork pre-stage, it was massive.
That's a beautiful thing to end this video on.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the most important part, is energy.
Yeah.
And how you radiate and how you feel internally and mentally,
100%.
getting present in that moment. So hopefully I can do that. Hopefully I can get really present, enjoy it, enjoy that week, have some fun with it, and give it my all.
Absolutely, man. I've got 100% confidence that you're going to absolutely kill it and come away with some trophies too. So excited to see this final week.
Thank you so much, man.
Pleasure, bro.
That was awesome. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Now, I just couldn't leave the video with just that, because there's something that I think is really important to address, and that is that there is multiple approaches to a peak week. There's multiple ways to do it, and what works for person X may not work for person Y, and this basically applies to all things when it comes to lifting, health, just the general health and fitness industries. We're all different, and so this is one approach. Now, just in doing my own research and experimenting, I've seen many other approaches, and some that are actually basically go completely against what Dan just prescribed for me. So, but obviously it worked for Dan, so it works for some people, maybe not for others. Some good other videos to check out would be like Lane Norton, Jeff Nippard, Eric Helms. They've got really good videos on peak week as well that I think could be worthwhile checking out. So like I said, in the description, I'm going to provide a PDF for you guys to download of a peak week plan. I think I'm going to go slightly different, a more conservative approach, because I don't want to risk, like, I haven't experimented. I think a good thing to do with peak week is to try it, like get stage lean, like 2 weeks before, try a peak week, and then maintain that conditioning. Like, unfortunately for me, my prep was an 18-week prep. Regretfully, I wish I probably did like a 22 to 24 week prep. Dan did recommend I do a 22-week prep. I thought I'd be able to get lean fast enough, but realistically, those final levels of body fat take a long way to go. And I'm 5 days out now, and I'm still not as lean as I wanted to be. So nothing you can do there, and unfortunately peak week isn't going to do any magical wonders either. So basically, you want to just get as lean as you can, and then you can play around with peak weeking. But just know, if you're not lean, you're not lean, and also there's different ways to do a peak week. So if you watch this and you are doing your own show, hopefully this helped. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the video, guys. Peace out. I'll see you in the next one.